Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. From every guy, good Oculus guy, and welcome back to the letters. So in the last episode, we started off with the Rebecca arc, which started off quite good. The fact that we already started getting haunted by the ghosts, some weird things already started happening. Got a little jealous too, angry too, and trolled too, considering she was all like, hey, Isabella must be tripping. She's just making some really stupid excuses that she's seeing ghosts and everything. And then she gets jump scared or haunted right away as you saw in the last episode. Yeah. And just like she was blaming Isabella, she was all like, it's gotta have to be the flu! That's causing me to see the ghosts and everything. Let's see how far can she blame things on little things like, it's the light. It's the trick of the light. Oh, it's the flu. Yeah, let's see how far will that go for Rebecca. Yeah, so let's start off. It begins innocently enough. Tuesday morning arrives like any other day before it, bright and clear. Even though it comes with an extra helping of the unusual October weather, I appreciate being able to catch a glimpse of the clear skies lately. Oh, it's October over here too. Haha. What do you know? After going through a bout of sickness last week, it does something to lift the mood of what would otherwise be a dreary morning. And despite being mostly a creature of habit, I wind up waking earlier than usual because of it. I have assumed she will take a day or two off because of what happened to Miss Cooper, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Whoa, what? How? So wait a minute. Okay, so the arc started with Friday, that is October 21st for us, and now today's date is Tuesday. Tuesday, that is when Isabella returns, as you can see. Wow, okay. We skipped a lot of days though. So, yeah, that's cool. Let's see. The sound of the morning news drifts from her unit when I walk past on the way to my mailbox. Chances are, around this hour, she's already dressed and ready to go, probably just waiting for the next bus to arrive. She's probably not, because as far as we know, she's at the Zach's house because, I just said you know why. So, yeah, let's continue. I've tried following her example before, but I don't think I will be repeating that.
Really? How can anyone be up before the sun is up?
It's a habit she got from home, she said, instilled in her by the kind of life she grew up in. Like clockwork, it's always at 4 a.m., either to help with the chores or prepare her little siblings for school. It surprised me the first time. She just didn't look like someone who could. In the end, I've simply passed it off as one of the many things anyone will have to get used to around her. Not that I will ever fully understand. My parents' only child, we aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I didn't have to think about bills or foods for the next day, or paying for any siblings' tuition on top of my own, or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have to worry about were my grades, and if I had gained mom and dad's approval, or what we had be having for dinner. When put next to hers, they all pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues this way.
Petty issues?
But as unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes its ugly head rears at the most inappropriate moments. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of a fancy looking letter, pretty ribbons and all. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on the envelope alone. Verging on ridiculous, really. I can already imagine Isabella wrinkling her nose when she sees this. Then she will complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself. As if simply brushing a hand against its crisp surface will be enough to put a crease on it, and it will be a terrible slight to the sender. As extravagant as I find this, it isn't really the first time I've received one. Most of the time, it's not even for me, so who am I to complain? Either way, no look of surprise crosses my face once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' name written in a neat script.
Nothing new then.
Their years in the academe naturally brought with it various connections, people from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. This one, though, gives off a much personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old schools. Wow, old students, people who have grown fond of my parents and they in turn treat like children of their own. I have only met a few of them. Most have moved on to become successful in their chosen careers, and little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing mom and dad are proud of. It's not dad, da, okay? Rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times I wish they will remember they have a daughter again. The real one. Not that it's of any importance now. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provided for me. They did. I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for their hard work. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's as small a thing as letting them know they have got another meal waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mom, her voice as warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that this mail arrived for you this morning.
Allah, thankfully she doesn't notice. Although if I'm going to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it, but I put down that idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret, they're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hannah?
The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. It must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing it to memory. There are a lot of Hannahs in the world, so who knows?
Hannah.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans mansion, and that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
It makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them, the same ones I want to tell them. I want to see you too. It's been years since we have been together as family, and if there is one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mom and Dad are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away on some meeting or symposium, sometimes from months on end. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I'd like to think that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hannah. Hannah Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca?
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I could go in your place.
I let it slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mum's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other thing that doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule. It's all right. The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties.
I know he will, and he does, considering how he is working on this thing.
But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring Isabella with me. You know her. She won't say no if there's food involved.
I wonder why she refused to come though.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe
Considering,
you this one, darling.
yeah, considering we never see her in the mansion though. After that,
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hana for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
oh, I so wish I too, but
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
this too I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only few people I remember clearly from that time in my life is Ashton and Mandy. To some extent. Mom must have sensed my confusion because she laughs.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. A hearty one, tender and always light on my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is the part of her I love the most. The sound of it still echoes even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago, when life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things far from our minds. If given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. Anyone would though. I don't dwell on it though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over a phone call, then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. And with a whole day of teaching still ahead of me, I can't afford to look exhausted in front of my students. Even for a wee bit, it's never a good example to set. So with another sigh, I put everything in the back of my mind and tread back to my room. The rest of my day waits. 15 minutes later, I'm heading back out dressed for the day, my car keys in hand. Ordinarily, I don't stop for anything. There's never a need to. That's the beauty of this apartment complex. It's quiet and everyone keeps to themselves. No useless platitudes in the morning, no need to wear a smile on your face lest other people are nosy enough to ask. Okay. Today, however, the morning broadcast still plays from Isabella's room. My brisk pace slows to a stop and a frown gradually forms in my face.
She hasn't left.
Of course, this isn't unusual. There are times when I've left earlier than she did, like last Friday, before their open house. But those days are few and far between. It only happens in the direct circumstances, though the last part of that might be a bit of an exaggeration. However, with what's happened in the last few days, maybe today is one. The death of a friend isn't something anyone can brush off, and for someone like Isabella's the kind who gets attached to people easily. With Zachary Ashton and I, that has been the case. I can't imagine what she might be going through right now, especially when the woman was someone she owed a lot, despite their training being brief. I've given her the space last night in deference, but perhaps today might be the proper time to check on her. Oh, let's see what's gonna be in there.
Oh, whatever. I've still got time anyway.
With light steps, I move closer to her door and hand already posed to knock. Still, I don't do so until I hear her answer me.
Isabella? Belle? Are you in there?
No answer. After a second, I finally knock, nightly so I don't disturb her, in case she's sleeping and has merely left the telly running last night. Never mind how she never lets that happen, ever. Waste of electricity and all.
I just want to check on you before I leave. Is that okay? Are you going to work today, Belle?
Still nothing.
I'm about to leave. If you want, I can drop you off.
Another round of knocking. Then I'm fishing out a copy of her key from my bag and unlocking the door. She lent it years ago after I complained about the mess and offered my help in cleaning up. I thought the gesture was completely unnecessary back then. After all, I could always knock. But she never did bother taking them from me, always returning it or turning away from the conversation whenever I insist. At one point, I've simply stopped trying to hand it back to her.
Isabella? I'm coming in, all right?
Without waiting for her answer, I push the door open and step inside. Her unit's still a mess. Instant noodle cups on the table, a pile of clothes on one side, papers strewn about everywhere, and an unkept bed among other things. This much is a given, will always be a given. I've been here several times already, and I still wonder how can she function like a human being with the place in this state. However, that's neither here nor there. I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but it's certainly not finding an empty flat. Granted, she could have left earlier, earlier than usual, but she never ever leaves without making sure she's unplugged everything. That's something she doesn't forget to do. It doesn't help that her bathroom appears unused this morning. Another habit, and it can only mean she hasn't been here since last night. Perhaps ever since the morning after Miss Cooper's death. Either idea doesn't sit well with me, what with the news we have been hearing lately.
The authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death. Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
Gathering my wits, I immediately place a call to her phone. It rings for a good minute, the sound a comfort in itself, but when another minute rolls by without her answering, well, I'm not a woman prone to panicking. Sudden bouts of temper, maybe, but never panic despite how I may sound when speaking. And when it ultimately goes straight to her voicemail, a sigh is the only thing I let out. I wonder what would have happened if we had got that one end where we decide to stay at home and the ghost kills us in our room. I really wonder what would have happened then. I mean, those both two dead ends are really interesting ones. I would love to see. But yeah, for now, I'm glad I did not got them, and yeah, for now we can just continue right now. You're okay. The pause doesn't last long though. In the next moment, my fingers are already moving across the screen in search of the two people who might be able to help. It's Ashton's number I find first and dial. Call it a habit, but even Isabella thinks he's dependable when the situation calls for it. Despite how much they give each other grief, that already says a lot about him. There's Zachary, but around this hour, he's probably still sleeping. If he has freelance work, it's very likely he's just gone himself in bed. No, that's not the case. He's the last person I want to bother, if anything. And he's the first person you should be bothering, because Isabella's over there. The wait doesn't take long. Soon, a click, then Ashton's voice echoes through the receiver, rough and still heavy with sleep. He never did grow fond of mornings.
Becca? Christ, what time is it? What's up?
Not you, apparently.
Good one. Did you call us early just to make that joke? I'm going back to sleep.
No, Ash, hold on. This is important.
Becca, stakeout last night. Make this quick. I've still got a few hours before the chief bothers me.
Sorry, I'll let you go back to sleep after. It's just that... Wait, you were on a stakeout last night?
Did I say that? Shit. Forget I said that. Forget I said anything. Forget we had this conversation.
So, you have no idea?
About what? About what? My whole also have no idea why we're talking so early in the morning, so there's that.
No, will you stop sleep talking or whatever for a second? Belle didn't come home last night. She's gone.
Who?
Isabella!
Instead of an answer, a brief pause comes after, followed by something blunt and heavy hitting a hard surface and a string of rather colorful curses from him. What? The moment might have been one of the many things I will keep to myself and remember fondly in the next few days if things aren't the way they are. When he picks up again, there is no trace of sleep left in his voice.
Say that again, from the top.
Isabella's gone, Ash. She didn't come home last night. Her flat's empty. She left her telly running. You know she doesn't do that and...
Okay, Becca, stop. Calm down first. You're starting to panic.
I'm not!
You are. Breathe. One person's not going to simply disappear like that. This is Isabella we're talking about. Did you try calling her?
What did you think is the first thing I did? She's not picking up. It went to her voicemail.
How about Zach? Did you check with him?
Not yet. I didn't want to bother him. You know he has trouble sleeping and all that.
All right, I'll go ask Zach. I'll call you back.
No, wait!
He ends the call before I can utter a single word of protest. But for the first time since entering this room, tension is gone from my shoulders and my breathing has eased. Don't worry, Isabella's alright thanks to my choices. The bread creaks as I sink down on it with a sigh. The telly still blares the same uninteresting news and I'm surrounded by the clutter. All the same, it feels strangely calm to be here without worry nagging at me. I will have to apologize to Zachary later for sending Ashton his way this early, but for now, relying on the latter for this isn't the wrong choice. It never will be. That's something I won't ever doubt in him, much like his promises. And true to his words, he calls back only a few minutes after the last one has ended.
She's with Zach.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. She could have at least sent a message last night.
What are you, her mother?
It's one thing to hear that from Isabella, but from Ashton...
I don't want to hear anything like that from you.
I'm serious. You've got to stop treating her like she's one of your students, Becca. You don't have to keep tabs on her every time. Last I checked, she's only 3 years younger than the two of us. That's almost a decade gap from those kids you're teaching, you know.
Says the person who keeps calling her Scaredy Cat.
That's not related at all. Anyway, I'll go check how she's doing. Don't stress yourself out. You go ahead to work.
Wait, you? Don't you have a precinct to be at? Whatever happened to not treating her like one of my students? Because if anyone's going to ask me, I think you're doing the same thing.
Zach said it's an emergency. Something happened last night.
Emergency?
He didn't put in those exact same words, but it sounded like it.
Ash, what really happened? Is Isabella fine?
She's alright. She's safe. Zach let her stay the night after she... Look, okay. Z-Man wasn't clear about it, but let me handle this. I'll check on her. I'll bring her home.
It sounds like a lie if I ever heard one. The sort where he omits things so people won't fret, and I'm not sure whether I should be happy he cares that much to do that. There shouldn't be a need for this between us, is there? We grew up together, didn't we? He knows I'm capable of at least hearing out the truth without it gnawing at me for the rest of the day. He knows me better than that. I know him better than that. Frankly, there's plenty of other things to say about this. But despite and after all the trouble he went through, with how things are moving at the moment, only one thought occurs to me. Oh, what should I say? Okay, so should we little rude type choice, I can handle it. I'm sorry for the trouble, that is little good one I feel like, so yeah, we are gonna go for this one, sorry for the trouble. I recognize his concern for what it is. It's not new for him to go out of his way for us, and to be honest, this is what I love about him. As much as I would have loved to take this off his hands, it will only be selfish of me to insist, considering he knows of my other commitments. To do so feels like I will be trampling on that kindness he seldom offers to anyone.
Sorry for putting you up to this.
Nah, don't mention it. You've got other things you need to worry about. Take care of those first. This is a small thing.
I still owe you one.
Oh, I can name a few things you can do about that. You know, there's this ice cream shop that opened near the movie house. I could use.
Okay, let's stop right there. That's enough. On second thought, maybe I'll just think about it some other time.
Harsh.
We both laugh. They sound lighter and more comfortable. Like the old days when a wayward 26-year-old is at the bottom of the list we need to worry about. This is how we find a common ground. We may not agree on a lot of things, we may see things the way the other does, but the give and take is something we have learned to get used to over the years. Whenever it's like this, confidence in him is the least I can offer as thanks.
Really? Thanks for this, Ash.
I'll let you know what happened afterwards, I promise. I'll call you later. You have a good day. Bye.
I admit, the way he puts it isn't comforting enough. He can be blunt like that. So many unknown variables, so many words left unsaid. I wish he had simply laid them out all in the open, because like this, I'm more inclined to think there is an exaggeration on the other's part. Wow. If it's from Zachary or Ashton, I don't know. In the end, all I can do is wait, go about my day, and hope for the best. Before leaving, I spare Isabella's room one last glance, disturbingly quiet now without her in it. I will get answers from her later. For now, my concerns are best left here. And yeah, the rest of the day slips away in a blur. Despite my best efforts in keeping this morning's events from surfacing in my mind, it sticks. In a way, everything today simply feels like a reminder. Every conversation, regardless of how casual, every topic, no matter how mundane it seems, I blame the news entirely for this. Recent happenings brought quite a few interesting stories to everyone's attention, mostly superstitious talk of death. And when locals talk about death here, anyone can sure as count on someone bringing up that mentioned Isabella's soul not a few weeks ago. Even my own students won't stop yapping about it. I think it's even worse than when it was put back up in the market. Now there are more stories. If this is the world reminding me of war matters or simply because this atmosphere around this time of the year calls for it, I'd rather take the latter. At least then I can be sure people will forget about it in favor of another set of holidays after. Nevertheless, and this may be a painful thing to admit, but listening to them is a pleasant distraction while waiting for Ashton's call. I hope he didn't forget. The school day is about to end soon.
No, that's got nothing with what I heard.
Okay? You always hear stuff. I'm not sure if half of them's even real.
No, really. Rowan knows about it. He used to be in the same class with them.
I can hear you from back here, you know.
Whatever, Rowan. Anyway, the story goes like this. There were 3 of them. They entered the mansion on a dare, and they were all never seen again.
And can you guess who they were? They were the same ones who we saw in the Marianne arc, the very end part of the Marianne arc in that tape though, and yeah, he's right. They were never seen again thanks to what they were.
No one knows what happened to them. Up to this day.
Yeah, and we know what happened to them.
Scary shit, man.
Calling it now.
No, you don't get it. Why don't you ask Miss Gales then? Better yet, why don't you go inside the place? I'm betting my allowance you can't do it.
Their talk immediately halts when I look up, all of them suddenly pretending to be engrossed in their current activity. Still, a word to put a stopper to this nonsense is needed. Creativity and imagination fostered by this story is one thing, but reckless ideas should be corrected before anything potentially tragic comes from it. Yeah, considering if they so try, they will so die. Yeah.
Back to your worksheets, everyone. And I don't want to hear any talk of dares or going inside that mansion. It's private property now. You'd all better stay away from it before...
At the noise, the whole lot of them goes silent. You can almost hear a pin drop. The look on their faces would have made for a funny picture, but that's irrelevant at the moment. If that is a student loitering around, someone's going to be in trouble.
I'll be back. If you're done, you can leave your worksheets on my desk. Keep the noise to a minimum while I'm gone, okay?
I can sense their eyes on me as I walk out the door. A muted kind of anticipation. A bit nerving, but it's far more agreeable than the feeling of being watched I have been enduring this past few weeks. Days. Ooh. Class is still in session for the most of the rooms. In a few hours when the final bell rings, however, this place will once again be filled with busy chatter and footfalls, an everyday cycle in itself. Let's see how will things go before that. That is right now, but for the moment, I'll let the silence guide me, my ears focusing on whatever sounds there are or there will be, searching for that distinct clanging of metal. A good minute passes, and for the portion of it, only my steps echoes through the halls. And another. I'm about to turn around when the sound of it halts my footsteps. It's a little muffled and infrequent but grows louder after each interval. With the hallway devoid of people, if I don't put a stop to it soon, it will start to disturb the other classes still going on. Looking for it doesn't take long. All I do is follow the racket, and shortly I'm standing in front of a nondescript row of unoccupied lockers. And from inside one of them, sitting in the middle, comes the noise, annoyingly disruptive now that I'm facing it. Like someone's pounding on the metal door from the inside, hoping to get out. Leaning forward, I try to get a glimpse through the horizontal slats of whatever's causing it. But in this light, only darkness greets me and another round of clanging. Louder than previous one. More desperate. I've heard stories before from other schools and from few colleagues who had to deal with it once or twice. Oh no, this is gonna be different. This is gonna be something like corpse party. Oh, school stuff. School scariness. Truly good. Although personally I've never encountered one myself, and I can only thank the heavens I haven't yet. But
If this is another kid some other student stuffed in a locker.
with a huff, I straighten up and study it briefly with a frown. Without delay, I reach for its handle and at once it stops. Immediately replaced by the muffled sound of a phone ringing. I give the door a few raps before taking my attention away. A second. Another. When nothing or no one responds, I finally avert my eyes and pull out my phone. Ashton's voice greets me from the other end of the line, oddly cheerful in light of this morning's matters. Or maybe because I'm just expecting some grave or serious news from her. Instead I get this.
Hey, Becca.
Well, you sound happy.
I do? My voice still sounds the same to me.
There are only two things I know of that could be the reason for that tone. Sweet. Or he's gotten a good lead in his case. From the sound of it, I'm going to assume it's the farmer, since lately that case is all that's running inside his head. If there's ever a third one, I have never heard of it yet. It can only be one of the two.
Ignore that. How's Isabella?
Drove her home a few minutes ago. I think she's sleeping now. Sorry this took a while. Z-Man gave us the puppy eyes after we tried to leave. Had some food prepared for us, apparently. We didn't have the heart to say no.
That's all right. Is she okay now?
I'm not really sure. She didn't say anything to Zach, but she mentioned a plan to take a few days off from work. It was a passing comment before I left her, so I didn't get to ask.
Must be because of Rose's death.
Could be. It doesn't seem like it from Zach's story, though. He said she was shaking when she got there.
Shaking?
The word triggers a memory. From 3 days ago, on the way home from her little treat after she sold the mansion, I didn't think much of it at the time, but I won't lie, it scared me. And that is the incident that happened in the last episode where she was shaking and then she was like, it's gonna have to be the flu that I saw the ghost. Yeah. The terrified look on her face, how she sounded when she suddenly screamed.
Becca? Still there?
Or maybe not, okay. I thought it was that.
Yeah, I just remembered something. Sorry, don't mind me.
Yeah, I thought she was talking about that one, but no.
Look, if you can talk to her, get the story out of her. That would be great. She wouldn't talk to Zach or me even when I tried. Maybe she'll speak up if it's you.
I'll give it a go, but I can't promise anything, okay? You know how stubborn she can get, but thanks for letting me know about this. If you want, I can get you that ice cream thing you mentioned tonight. As thanks. Just as thanks for all the trouble I've caused today.
Believe believe me, I'd love to take you up on that offer, but I've got something on my schedule this evening. Maybe some other time? Thanks a lot, Becca.
There is a short pause before he cuts the call from his end, and once again, I'm alone with my thoughts. And that locker. But rather than answers, all I got from it are questions. More of them, one on top of the other, as if the world isn't planning to give me a break anytime soon. But that's a problem I will tackle later. Right now, I've got students who need to be taught fully of eavesdropping if the slightly open door and their smothered laughter from inside is an indication.
All right, enough eavesdropping. All of you, back to your seats.
Is that your boyfriend, Miss Gales?
None of your business.
He totally is. A quick scuffle follows that comment. I would love to be in that class laughing like that. If there is a retort prepared at the tip of my tongue, I drop every pretense of letting it loose on them. There is no use arguing with teenagers sometimes, boisterous as they all are. They are still my kids, though rough around the edges, maybe, but still my kids. Shaking my head, I head back to my classroom with a smile, but not before taking a glance at the locker again. It hasn't made a noise or a sound since.
Oh, must be the wind.
Must be the word. She really knows what excuse to make just to escape the, potentially scary things happening. Must be the flu. Must be the wind. Oh. Let's see how far her excuses will go. So, without another look, I'll leave it alone. Ooh. Must be the wind. Must be that tomato sauce someone dripped over here. Something like that. No? Oh. Okay, so she did not even notice. Wow. Okay. All in all, the entire school day ends without a hitch. Only few had looked back. Yeah. That without would have been out of this thing. Okay, it could have gone better, mind you, but with the exams nearing, getting out of work before the sun has set looks as though it's a far off dream for now. Okay. At least until they are over, then we have the holidays to look forward to. Yeah. There really are times when you simply take what you can get for the time being.
Nothing wrong with that.
All I'm hoping for is this will continue until the whole day ends. There's still that promise I made to Ashton, and frankly, the idea alone doesn't sound good. If Isabella didn't talk to them, what makes them think she'll talk to me? It's not like there is a hierarchy, is there? Just because I can handle Isabella's childish tendencies doesn't mean I can do it all the time.
Really, those two give me too much credit.
Nevertheless, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, if only because I'm also worried about her. And both Zachary and Ashton deem it important that somebody get the story out of her. Oh my god, thankfully I was getting a sneeze, that's why I just fumbled. Here's to hoping it's got nothing to do with that letter. Again, it is. Again. Trust me, I understand if she feels a bit stressed lately, but keeping that story going on for more than a week is... it's gotta have to be... It's bound to get tiring at one point. Seriously, I really don't want this to end in another argument. God willing, the cafe special will help smoothen things out. After all, it's always been food with her. Or money. But mostly food. At this hour, the cafe is usually filled to brim with people. That's the reason Isabella and I rarely ever go here during the evenings. It's simply too much of a hassle when we can prepare food ourselves in the comfort of our homes, and there really isn't much reason to eat out lately. What with life going on in a busy streak, no time for long lines, better spend that doing something productive, yes?
Lucky there isn't one tonight.
Only few people are idling around the counter. 4 of them, in fact a woman in her 60s and a teenager busy with his phone, both are just waiting to be served their orders. Oh. Who do we have here? The other 2, a posh looking man and a child who I immediately recognize as Kylie, appear to have not yet picked anything they want. For some reason, my stare lingers at the guy. Though dressed relatively well and looks harmless, I haven't seen him around these parts before. Someone new in the neighborhood, perhaps? Even so, there's something familiar in him. It feels like I have seen him somewhere before. It feels like I've seen him somewhere before, yeah. That also begs the question of why Kyle is with him. Of course, the girl easily takes a liking to anyone who buys her sweets, so it's both a bit worrisome and unsurprising. The blonde bloke doesn't look particularly thrilled with the company though. I tear my eyes away from them soon enough once the guy at the counter appears, ready to take my order. That, and I'd also hate to be accused of oogling strangers,
Two,
yeah.
evening special, takeout.
He's already punching the order before I even finish. Saying my order out loud is really more for formality's sake and made out of habit. He has known Isabella and I long enough that if we ever drop by here, he already knows it's always because I'm buying dinner for the two of us. I rarely visit here alone if I can help it, but Isabella can sometimes be a bad influence. He gives me a small smile before leaving to prepare my order while I fish for my wallet when...
Look, you little ankle biter. If I buy you the biggest parfait they have, will you please behave? I would just like 10 minutes of peace and quiet.
You said you'll get me some bread pudding this time.
Yeah, well, darling, they said they ran out of it. Just pick another one so we can be on our way.
Their parfait doesn't look as cute as the one my mom bought me.
Parfait is just ice cream, sweetheart. It'll melt no matter how dainty it appears. In the end, it'll all look like an ugly puddle.
Oh, he's gonna be such a great father.
Now come on, just pick one. It could even be the most expensive one on that list. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Oh, what I would give for someone to buy you off my hands right now.
What? My whole attention instantly snaps back to them and their conversation. Jumping to conclusion isn't something I'm particularly fond of, especially when all I have are baseless assumptions. But you really can't really trust a stranger these days. No one around the cafe seems to have noticed his words either. Very suspicious words. Still, I don't move. Yet, but my hand has already shifted from my wallet to the book I'm carrying. A hard-bound textbook. Looks harmless, but if a situation calls for it, it might be a good deadly weapon. Might. I haven't gotten the chance to try it anywhere so far. Today could be the day.
But you promised.
Look, if you don't want a parfait, how about a Bonifay pie? I'm sure it'll taste just as good as any other bread pudding. I'll even buy you the entire tray. How does that sound?
That's not what you said before.
Well, sweetheart, adults change their minds sometimes.
You said if I come with you, you'll buy me a bread pudding, and I did, and now you won't keep your promise. I want to go home. I miss my mom.
No, darling, if I remember correctly, and I have a good memory, honey. What I said was, if you come quietly with me, I might buy you one. The quiet part didn't happen. Though now that I'm sober, I think this is a bad idea. I should just ship you someplace else for that peace and quiet.
Oh, that's it. No hesitation. In a few paces, he's within my reach, and without warning, I'm slamming the flat area of the book against his skull. Oh, there's a cry of pain, followed by him instantly crouching down, hands nursing the sore spot. Almost comically, if this were a different situation and the safety of a St. Gority student isn't at stake, I probably feel sorry for him. I mean, has anyone seen how thick this book is?
Get behind me, Kylie.
Miss Pink!
It's amusing how fast her expression changes from the pouty one earlier to something that of utter delight upon seeing me. But there's no time for any pleasantries, not even quick ones, because soon the man straightens and I'm readying my favorite newfound weapon for another hit. Except this time he's ready, and before I can land another one, his hand shoots up to catch my wrist in a firm hold. Oh. And the look on his face.
Bloody hell, woman! What's your problem?
To say he's pissed would be a complete understatement. Had I been the weak willed sort, I had probably cowered under this sharp gaze. Yeah, this guy is crazy. Most definitely because of my choice. But that simply isn't how I roll. If he thinks he can scare me and do as he pleases here, just because I'm a woman or whatever his reasons may be, he's got another thing coming for him. So instead, I return it to him with the same intensity, with the same venom.
What's my problem? You're the one who has a problem here. Rotten bowbags like you don't deserve the freedom to run this town. What are you doing to this girl?
And why is that any of your business, pray tell?
Oh, it's my business if I make it to be. Now, release me or I'll call the police.
You think that scares me, Daisy?
I have a name, you sleazy douchebag.
Oh, I'm sure.
His grip on my hand only tightens when I attempt to shake it off. His tone may be dripping with anger and sarcasm, but the gleam in his eyes says it all. He's getting a kick out of this. Riling people up, getting on their nerves, invading their personal space. He knows exactly what and which buttons to push. The nerve of this person. The nerve of this. If he thinks I'm going to give in to his goading, please, he might as well just kiss his sorry behind. Oh. In fact, why not do the most sensible thing right now? Teach him a tough lesson. Oh, let's save. Okay, so it's a very tough choice. Both seem to be what this guy deserves, but considering how things went on in Hana's arc, I would surely hit him where it hurts. Surely, I just hope it does not have repercussions on me, considering now he will kill me or something like that. Hope.
Mister, you have until the count of 5 to let me go and step out of my personal space.
A fair warning. Fairer than any I can offer for people of his kind, and I'm already being considered. Yeah, that's good. You're giving warning to hit him. So yeah. Well, this doesn't even deserve a warning. If he doesn't listen, well, he is as much responsible for what will happen next as anyone.
Or else what? Such vulgar words coming out of that pretty mouth. A gorgeous flower like you shouldn't even be saying.
Don't say I didn't warn you, bowbag.
Love that intensity, Daisy. FYI, I like feisty in a woman. It gives them this certain charm. Why don't you?
5.
A second of silence. Then without any preamble, my leg moves in for one fluid motion and delivers a swift, powerful, well-placed kick to his nether regions. Needless to say, the effect is instantaneous. He yelps, abruptly drops his hold on me and kneels over, howling from the pain. I can see tears forming at the corner of his eyes too, though the mere sight of it prompts not an ounce of remorse from me. I would have been gentler if he isn't such a dirty little prick with an ego too big for his head. Yeah, he is such a prick. Too bad. Whether this obliterates any chance of him ever creating revenge to be known, but a part of me is already praying he doesn't ever bleed after this. We have no need of more of him in this world.
You mad woman!
I warned you, you...
Why, this is harassment, I'm telling you! Harassment!
Then why don't you tell that to the police once they get here,
You despicable! Whatever you're assuming I am, I'll have you know it's all in your head. None of it's true. You best have that pretty brain of yours checked before that gets worse. What is wrong with you? Is this the face of someone who'd do anything suspicious?
Oh? You don't think a stranger luring an innocent child with promises of sweets before whisking them away from their parents doesn't warrant any suspicion? You have a very funny definition of suspicious. Maybe you're the one who should have that head of yours checked.
The kid asked me to buy her sweets. You're the one who's suspicious here. I'll have you know, I have a wife.
That much at least appears to have a silver of truth to it. He even makes a show of brandishing his left hand to my face with much flourish, although he kills him. Her, yeah. Sure enough, a wedding ring is there, though all that earned him is an unimpressed glare from me, yeah. Doesn't matter. Immediately, a small part of me starts to feel sorry for whatever poor woman married this sod. Oh, I don't understand why he has to bring her up either, as if the mention of her alone will magically present a solution to his problem. She must truly be a remarkable woman if she can handle a dirt bag like him.
And even my wife of all people in this bloody city, has never, I'm telling you, accused me of such a scandalous thing! You crazy woman!
Married or not, you're still a sleaze. Honestly, I feel...
Miss Pink, why are you fighting with my teal?
Whatever word still left to be said here dies on my tongue. The same thing goes for the sleaze. Besides us stands Kylie, going at us with that same curious stare she often brings with her. Oh my god, you know what? I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, I did the wrong decision of doing that. Now it's all gonna be like, see, I was so good guy and you were wrong. No. He kills Hana, so I'm not gonna back out, especially in this arc. If I would have been on the good route, I would have not done that, for sure. I know that look all too well. A precocious child through and through. Okay. She doesn't say anything further. Her gaze simply moves between us, eyeing us both carefully, clearly anticipating an answer. From my experience, when it gets like this with children her age, it's a sure sign they won't leave you until you have given them an answer they are satisfied with. Lying won't do either. It has dissolved into a shouting match, for heaven's sake. And did she just say to you? Something falls straight to the pit of my stomach at that. But my tone is gentle when I finally address her, void of any apprehension and what might be the first hints of embarrassment. I pointedly ignore the latter. It can very well be just the hunger speaking.
Kylie, sweetie, do you know this oaf?
Yeah, he's Teal Luke.
Right at the moment, my brain stops. Every line of thought, every argument I still have against the man beside me dissipates in a haze. Amidst all of it, one memory gets triggered from a very few days ago.
Tio? The one you mentioned before? The uncle? The guy Rowan wanted to impress? Or was that a dare? I'm sorry, I can't recall. Is it the one who promised he'll take Big Brother someplace cool?
Yeah, the one and the same. Don't you know who he is?
I sure as hell don't, darling. Because if I do, I wouldn't have let everything I've said earlier come out of my mouth.
He's my Teal Luke, gazillionaire extraordinaire, and the fairy godfather.
He's your godfather. That's nice.
The one and only.
The one and only.
Did I get that right, Teal?
More than right, sweetheart. I'm sure Miss Pink here understood everything you said quite perfectly.
Whatever it is that landed at the bottom of my stomach prior has shot straight up to my face and stayed there. The heat from it slowly spreading to my cheeks, coloring my face in almost the same shade as my hair. If only the earth would swallow me whole here and now. His eyes are on me. I can feel them jeering, mocking. I can't even bring myself to look at him. What's in there? Amusement? I doubt it. He's probably having the time of his life right now. He is having it. But I know I can hear the sneer in his tone alone when he talks. He has that smug grin on him, which I may or may not want to punch off his face at present, just for the hell of it. But damage control. I need to do some damage control before this whole thing goes south. Let's apologize. Oh my god, this is such a tough choice. Apologize to Luke or apologize to Kylie, just to make things much more worse for Luke. But oh my god. I just don't know. Luke is such a character that I just don't know whether when he is being a douche and when he is being done. That's the hard part about this guy. Ah, man. Okay, so my choice is to apologize to Luke. Reason being, I feel like if I apologize to Kylie would be like, you should apologize to the one you committed the wrong thing to. So, and Luke will just all be like, yeah. So, yeah, let's just apologize to Luke. Though it pains me to apologize to a sleazebag like him, this is my mistake. With Kylie watching us close by, I don't want to set a bad example for her, do I? Yeah. I'm surprised she grew up the child she is. If anything, I want to be the role model this man couldn't possibly become. Even if it means taking a few blows to my ego and stroking his insufferable one. A deep gulp of air, a short moment to swallow my self-respect, and then I'm facing him. The words are out of my mouth in a single breath.
I'm really sorry, sir. I had no idea.
Yes, we are the bigger person over here. His smirk is impossible to miss. He's not making an effort to hide it, and even the smile is so irritatingly present in his tone. If I could slap it off him, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Now, it's an honest mistake, Daisy.
No, I really mean it. I actually thought you were... And then...
It's fine now. It probably happens quite a lot to a few people who look suspicious to you. Seems I'm one of them now. But don't lose sleep over it. Do be careful with that book, though. A little more and you would have dislodged my poor brain off my head. What would I ever do if that happens?
Oh no! Did it leave a mark or anything? If you want, we can have it checked. I'll handle the expenses if there's a need for it.
Now, what kind of man would I be if I let an attractive woman such as yourself do that? Why don't we just look at it this way? My forgiveness is coming from the utter goodness of my heart.
So full of himself. Exactly the kind of person I will happily live to die in a ditch somewhere.
Of course, sir. Why didn't I think of it that way?
I know, right? But even someone as capable as you is bound to have a few lapses. No harm done, Daisy. Let's move on from this.
Well, if you're going to put it like that, then I guess there's nothing left for us to talk about.
I figured as much.
Awkward. The whole exchange is nothing but an awkward display of fake pleasantries. Yep. One that brings much agony to the very pride I've willingly held back a while ago. I might need a drink later so I can forget any of this ever happened. Who would have thought the time would come when I'd meet someone tougher to handle than Isabella? Miracles of miracles, I swear. Though to my surprise, he proffers me a hand shortly before they leave for a shake. I realize after a long minute of staring at it. I accepted, albeit half-heartedly. But all of the goodwill that small gesture represents melts into thin air when he winks at me. Winks? The gall of this man! However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Seconds later, the guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paperback as soon as I've paid. He offers me another smile before I leave. Normally, I return it simply for the sake of returning it, or I don't at all, with the latter happening more commonly. For the time being, I do so freely. After that encounter and the scene we have caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I barely know on a personal level, it feels like a reassurance despite bearing no promise of better days. I take what little I can of it with me as I step out into the night. Oh, that went so good. Those choices were really tough and I managed it pretty good. So with that, I am gonna be ending the episode right here. This episode was really cool. I loved it. Especially this last very part. Oh wow. So hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click that like button, subscribe for more awesome content, comment down below your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye. Shabakar.